That was
That
pretty
was intense.
intense. Yee,
It's trouble
man.
in
All right.
paradise.
That's right. Trouble in Paradise. Welcome to the Housing Hangout, where we talk about anything and everything real estate and lending related. My name is Mark with Be Really Texas. I'm here with my man Sam Gabay, Merit Lending. Today's episode is called Renting Roulette, the do's and don'ts of tenant selection. Also, we're going to be going over first time investment property purchases, what to look for, what to stay clear of, and all the red flags. So grab yourself a cocktail, a coffee, whatever you're into. We obviously don't care. Just hang out with us, enjoy yourselves, learn a thing or two, make yourselves at home. So, Sam, like I was saying, everyone wants to be a landlord.
Including me,
It's the
including you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we both are landlords,
right.
right? Like we've done this before.
But the grass
And
wasn't as green as we thought it was going to be. What is it?
hell no, man. The one thing that you really need to focus on is finding the right tenant. And I say this to all of my investors that I work with. There's a difference between the right tenant and the right now tenant. So it's always important, even if your newly acquired investment property sits vacant for a couple more weeks, it's really important to make sure that you vet out every single person.
By the way, stay tuned for the end of this video because we're going to show you what happens when you don't cross your T's and dot your I's. And even if you try, you still might end up with these crazy scenarios. So make sure you stay tuned for those.
A lot of people say that a good tenant will, keep you happy and profitable, but a bad tenant, it's absolutely will make your life a living hell. You're going to lose money, and a lot of first-time landlords actually consider selling their investment properties after the first time around, just because it's such a horrible experience.
You check credit, you check income, and you really don't see any reason why you wouldn't rent to this person. To buy an investment property, first of all, requires a little bit of savings. Okay, you're not going to buy it with 5% down. Usually you need 20% down to buy the investment property. And then you've got
Mhm.
a little bit of reserves left over for incidentals, maybe, 1 to 6 months. We recommend having 6 months in reserves. But then things happen, right? You're working on a little spread. You purchase it for two reasons. You want to make money on the monthly and you want to make money on appreciation of the home. But you got to get ready for that ride in between because if you're not a well vetted landlord or if you're not vetting your tenants properly, you could really end up biting the bullet like Mark and I did.
And to further your point, I think it's not just important to get the correct tenant in there, but like you said, Sam, buying the correct investment property. I hear a lot of people give a lot of leniency to certain tenants. They let them pay late, without uh, any extra fees or anything like that. And it's interesting that most people will save 20 or 25% or even more to buy their first investment property, and they do everything right, and then they just kind of like glaze over the whole tenant selection process. It's literally the first warm body that meets just the most minimum of check marks. They just want to get into that house because they don't want to have to make a mortgage payment. And I think that's just the wrong way to go about it. I think even if the house sits vacant for a month, it doesn't matter. You screen every single tenant individually, and you really want to make sure that they're a good fit for you.
And
Sam, I
and
actually
that might
have
sound crazy to people, but they don't want to make a mortgage payment ever, right? They want to buy the house and get it rented right away. And the fact that they have to make a mortgage payment in between to wait for that right tenant seems like an expense to them. That seems outrageous. But it might be the best thing you ever did, right? Because if you put that wrong tenant in there, we're going to show you what happens in just a
your
few.
life will be a living hell. Take it
Absolutely.
from two people
Who are
that have been
living
through
it.
it. Yep. You want to be a good landlord, but keep in mind that you're not an overlord.
Right.
So you don't micromanage your tenants. That is their home. That's where they live.
It's their
But
home at that point.
but Sam's right. You got to be a good landlord, and you got to be prompt. If something's broken, uh, you got to fix it right away. But when it becomes excessive, that's when you'll realize that your tenants are high maintenance and
Right.
it's not fun.
Right.
If you have a tenant that's been in there for years and years and years, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 years, after that fifth year, you may even want to consider offering them, uh, to deep clean the entire place, maybe upgrade some of the appliances. just make them happy because they've been so good to you.
That turnover cost is something to consider as well, right? Even
Yeah.
if they're the best tenant, you still might have to, do a deep clean, paint the walls, redo the baseboards, steam the carpets. There's still going to be cost to turning over tenants.
Thank you for saying that, Sam. So turnover costs actually costs thousands. So
Right.
every time someone moves out, it costs you thousands of dollars
Right. I
to
just
get a new
went
tenant
through
in
it.
there.
$6,000. Thank you very much.
$6,000.
But
Yep,
she wasn't a good
absolutely.
tenant. All right, let's get into it. By the way, if you haven't done so already, now's the perfect time to subscribe. Now let's check out this video. Now this is a landlord with a similar message to what we were just saying, but let's check it out from him.
So I'm just walking through a property of mine.
Okay, by the way, his message is really good, but I just want to interrupt him for a second. I don't know if you noticed, but he's like ducking down every time he walks through this apartment, which goes back to what you were saying before. Like, get a property worth renting, therefore equals a good tenant. What do you think?
Properties with 6-foot tall ceilings are probably not gonna
probably not the
get you
best tenant.
tenants. Right.
It's you'll see, it's a problem tenant. We actually just evicted her. We had to get the sheriff to come and switch the locks out. It was a painful eviction process. I think the best lesson you guys can learn from all this is don't give people a break. You want to help people, and I get why you want to help people, but you're not actually helping them. You're just hurting yourself when you try and help them.
Basically what you were saying before, right? Like, just when they're late on the rent,
Yeah.
charge them a late fee. Don't let them off the hook. When they call you and tell you they're 15 days late, tell them there's going to be a late fee, and if you don't pay, by the 15th, I'm going to start eviction proceedings, right? Like, just
Yeah, I mean, you got to be rules are rules. So Sam, from a fellow Canadian,
could you tell he was Canadian?
You know,
what gave it away?
All day, every
I
day.
don't think I've ever had that accent, to be honest with you.
Come on.
Growing
not
up with the
even
friends I grew up with, just never
Really?
happened.
Man.
don't just get caught up in that sunk cost feeling or that, oh my God, I don't want to have to renovate it. It's a huge mistake. You can just see all of the damage throughout this property. Real talk.
All right, real
Yeah,
talk.
real talk.
Real talk.
That's
All
it.
right, so this next one's going to show us a little damage. This is what happens when you get a bum tenant.
God. Okay, so the flooring's all gone. It's all leaked everywhere. When I give him this garden, it was absolutely immaculate.
It was immaculate.
Just really overgrown. It's trashed. Oh, look at all the drains collapsed.
Yo.
Look. Oh my God. Oh,
It looks like our
good God,
intro.
just pigs.
The pigs. But just going back to the
They're pigs.
the pigs, mate. The pigs. But look at
Look at
like
this, the pigsty.
they will break anything. They will break anything.
Dude,
like
what the hell?
like how do you break that? They will just break anything.
It's concrete.
Right. Like, so you just don't know what to expect, which is why you really got to screen people. This next guy's got a variety of properties. He's an experienced landlord. He talks about how, he's got property managers in place. He's got a screening process in place, but he still got stung. He got stung pretty bad on this one. First, I'm going to show you the property and how trashed it got. But then this guy actually goes back to the house the next day and interviews the tenants, and that is absolutely hilarious. So make sure you stay
it's gonna
tuned
be
for
good.
that. But let's check him
This is
out.
gonna be good.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Doors are open.
All right, we're coming in.
So the doors are just left open, just like, and we know they still live there because he goes back the next day. But doors just wide open.
We're not going in. So first off, you can see they're literally stealing electricity from the upstairs tenant, and they've been complaining about it forever, but they just keep coming and plugging it back in. So when I got here, they literally just had the water running, and then they've got all of this garbage back here.
Okay, so when he gets there, the door is wide open. They're stealing the power from upstairs. The hose is on, just running. The hose is just running.
So these people live in the basement.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not the basement that we just saw
Different
a few
basement.
seconds ago.
Different
Different
basement.
basement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a Canadian basement.
Maybe it's a Canadian. I was just gonna say that. I think it's a Canadian basement.
All of the windows have been broken by them, and in the eviction hearing, they were complaining about how we haven't come to fix the broken windows that they've broken in the process of going through not paying their rent. With all of this crap here, we got a super pissed off call from the owners there.
So they
I
have
know,
the
but
door
that
open.
next-
They're stealing the
that
power.
next-
The windows are broken. The hose is on running all day. And that's the front yard. Total disaster. Okay, like I said, the next day he goes back to the house and knocks on the door and asks him like, "Hey, I know I'm evicting you right now. We both know that because we've already been to court. But how about we do a 5-minute interview?" And this guy's like the happiest go luckiest guy ever, and they treat
Seems
him
like
like
a great dude.
total great dude. And they treat him like total garbage, and he's just like smile on his face the whole time, like, "Yep, great, yep, get out by Friday, have a nice day," shaking hands.
Yeah.
Super patient guy. Let's check it out.
I have a loan on this property, so every month I don't get paid. I'm paying out of my account, planning
I
on.
really feel as though he should have renewed the lease.
Okay, wait.
Dude, homies, they couldn't even pull up another chair. There's like these girls just sitting on
But
his
he
lap.
just told them like, "Hey, like you're not paying the rent, and I have to pay out of my pocket every month to maintain this home." And the next word out of the guy's mouth is, "You should have renewed the lease." Like on what basis? And then he says this after wanting to renew the lease. This is the next word.
Oh, this house is a piece of just to keep it real with you. You have no driveway, none. You really have no yard space.
Okay, wait a minute.
Oh,
right.
My goodness.
The driveway and the yard space did not change from the time you rented the home until the time you didn't pay the rent. Okay, like what does that have to do with anything?
The upstairs tenant has been maintaining the yard space. It looks beautiful.
Right. So we went from like, "Look, guys, like I have to pay the mortgage payment every time you don't pay the rent," to "You should have renewed my lease," to "Your house is a POS and you have no yard and your driveway sucks."
Oh, man.
All right, so this is what happens when you don't properly screen your tenants. You end up dealing with this stuff. Now, this next guy's got a pretty good message, and I'm going to forgive him for the fuzzy Canadian socks. Let's check him out.
Move on to the next applicant. It is better to have your property sit vacant for a month and wait for the perfect tenant rather than to get the first person that's breathing that can sign a lease into the building.
All right, now pretty good message.
Saying. That's what I said.
Pretty good message, but come on, those socks are ridiculous, bro.
I think those socks are legendary.
You're right.
As exciting as it is to buy your first investment property, Sam and I have been there, and one of the things that we keep driving home is don't overlook the tenant selection process. Here's a couple of things, red flags, I should say, that you should be looking out for. If any of these things pop up, then kindly decline any of the applications. So poor debt to income ratio, unverifiable income, poor credit history, a history of late rent, lies on their application. I've had this happen so many times. You want to make sure that there's no prior evictions or convictions. These are no-goes. No smokers in your properties. And on that note, that is the signs of nightmare tenants that you need to avoid.
Yeah, I
Red
just want to
flags.
say as well, like no evictions, bad credit history. Someone's going to have an excuse to all of those. They're going to have a story for everything, okay? Don't drink the Kool-Aid. There's a reason they have bad credit and an eviction history. All right, so there you have it. That's for all you investors out there and aspiring landlords. We told you to go through the tenant checklist. We told you to buy the right rental property. We told you to be a good landlord. I'm going to put a video on the screen of the video we did last week. Make sure you check that out. I'm also going to post Mark and I's contacts down below. Feel free to call us for any lending or real estate needs, even if we're not in your area. By the way, if you haven't done so already, now's the perfect time to subscribe. That pretty much does it for me, Mark. What do you say?
That's it from me too, man. I think we're out.
We're out.
Till next time.
Peace, everyone.